All right, looks like we're live, everybody. Hey, this is Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, and we are here continuing with virtual GBO week here with Disc Golf Strong Seth Munsey. He's going to do a live training to get you guys ready to get back out on the disc golf course when it's safe to do so. But he's going to do that and do some. We had some questions on a Google form that a few people sent in. He's going to answer those, and then we're going to have some questions. Me and Anthony are standing by remotely. We'll relay any questions that you have for Seth as far as the physical conditioning and being ready for disc golf, and we'll relay those to Seth. But Seth, if you want to go ahead and take it away, go for it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Bobby. Appreciate it, my friend. Well, welcome everybody to this GBO Virtual 2020. I'm so glad that we are, living in this age that we have this ability to do this streaming, because I miss all of you. I miss all the DD crew. Miss GBO. This will be my 4th year. So while we can't be there this week, but I'm really glad that we can all be here this way this week. During these times, we're all at home. We all need to stay active, though. We're all disc golfers. We're all disc golf athletes, right? I always say disc golf athletes. Because when we're out on the course, our bodies, we have to be athletic. We have to be able to move where we need to be able to move. We need to be able to activate the muscles that we should be able to activate. And so while we're at home, while we're off the course, while we're, helping each other out by staying, away, social distancing, there's still things we can do to stay active. So in this talk today, we got 30 minutes. So I'm going to keep it where I'm going to go over breathing and why that's so important, okay? And why that is the one thing, if there's nothing else you should do right now, is to do this type of breathing I'm going to talk about. And then we're going to go over pretty much my favorite exercise is the Turkish get up, okay? I'm going to show that and break that down a little bit for you and talk about why you should be doing the Turkish get up while you're at home. So first off, let's talk about breathing. So, breathing is something that we do approximately 22 to 24,000 times a day, right? That's a lot of breathing. And so when we think about it in simple terms, we go, well, it's just, why are we talking about breathing and why is it so important? How will it benefit me as a disc golf athlete? Well, the thing is, when we breathe approximately 22 to 24,000 times a day, there are opportunities for us to breathe in a correct pattern, and there are opportunities for us to breathe in an incorrect pattern, or I would say a pattern that is not correct for what we're doing at that time, okay? So let me break that down for you. When we're born into this world as babies, we're born as belly breathers. So we breathe through here, and we breathe using this muscle called the diaphragm, okay? It helps pull air into our body, and it helps expel that air out, okay? Now, when we get older, we start to use a different way of breathing, which is called a fight or flight response, or a chest breathing. There's lots of different ways to call it, okay? But that's where we breathe through here. Okay, I hope you can see me from this far away, but I'm breathing here. My chest is coming up. I'm breathing very shallow, okay? Now, we should be able to breathe like that. We should be able to breathe through here. I said this is a fight or flight style of breathing, and we should be able to access that style of breathing up into here when we're doing things that require us to fight, to flight, run away from something, okay? We got scared, we have to fight, right? We should be able to do that. But the problem is, with that being a stress response style of breathing, us as humans, not even just as disc golfers, but as humans, we tend to resort to that as being our primary way of breathing, okay? Now, when that's our primary way of breathing, that is always keeping us in kind of like a stress response, okay? And it's not just the breathing that is affected with the stress response. We got, different chemical systems and our chemicals that are being released by our body, stress chemicals, okay? It affects our sleep, it affects our compensation patterns, how our body moves. There's so many things that are affected when we're breathing in a stress response, okay? So if I breathe here 22 to 24,000 times a day, very shallow, then the muscles in my neck get tight, the muscles in my chest, my upper back, my shoulders, they get tight and they get restricted because they're not designed to do this 22 to 24,000 times a day. Well, the good news is, and I talk about this in Disc Golf Strong a lot with my athletes, is that we need to breathe down here and we can become better belly breathers. Okay, if you look at yoga, if you look at martial arts, if you look at even say Buddhism, all these different ancient arts and religions, they all focus on the breathing. Okay, they've been around for thousands of years and they did not cut out breathing out of the curriculum a long time ago. Okay, because they know how important it is to be able to breathe correctly and how much of an impact that has on your body. When I was working in elite athletics with high-level NHL players, we focused on breathing patterns, okay? So it's not just yogis that are doing it, and it's not just people that are trying to meditate, it's high-level athletes that are focused on improving how they breathe. So we breathe through here. So I'm gonna take a minute and just show you what we're doing here. So I'm gonna just sit down here, sit on my feet. Now you can go here, or you can go here. Why I'm doing this is we can breathe in so many different ways, but I got you breathing right here because what we're also gonna accomplish with this position is we're gonna get some flexibility, some mobility in your toes and in your feet here and in your ankles, and we all need that. So go ahead and try that, even if you here and sit down just a little bit. Now, if you got knee troubles, I want you to go just to here, okay? But if you can, come up here, put one hand here, excuse me, and I want you to breathe in through your nose and breathe like you're trying to pull that air deep down into your belly. So here, I'm breathing through my nose, I'm not breathing here. Okay, you're gonna be able to feel that because you're gonna feel if your hand is rising or if your hand is going out. Okay, so here, nice deep breaths. Take 4 seconds to breathe in, 4 seconds to breathe out. Just nice deep exhales, okay? So that is really important. So whether you breathe here, you breathe here, you breathe here, you breathe lying on your back, doing so is going to get you out of this stress response breathing, okay? It's going to help move you away from that being your primary breathing pattern. It's going to help you strengthen that diaphragm. That diaphragm muscle I talked about, that's part of our inner core unit, we call it, okay? So we all want a stronger core. Well, the diaphragm, getting that stronger and engaged is going to help strengthen and stabilize you from the center. So if I'm going to play disc golf and I'm breathing here, now I'm stressed out. Now I got tension. Now I'm trying to throw and I'm putting my body into bad angles. But if I'm breathing here, okay, I'm more relaxed here. I'm more engaged here. That's going to help me transfer that power, okay? So I want you to focus on breathing every single day, okay? This style, whether you're lying on your back, whether you're lying on your belly, whether you're sitting like I just showed you, work every day. And you can say, hey, I'm going to take 1 minute of breath work. I'm going to take 2, 5 minutes, okay? If you want to go longer, you can add a meditation to it. But just try to find ways where you focus on your breath work. It is that important, okay? Now we're going to move to the Turkish get-up. Now, I did a Turkish get-up challenge in the Disc Golf Strong Fitness community with the Inner Circle because the Turkish get-up exercise, if I could only choose one exercise to do right now, it would be the Turkish get-up. Now, our challenge was over 15 days, and it was breaking down each movement because there's a lot that goes into the Turkish get-up. But the good thing is anybody can do it, okay? There may be parts where maybe it's not the part of that movement that you do right now, but it is accessible in some form for everybody. Now, Bobby Brown and I, we were out on the cruise ship for the Sailing the Seas, and me and Bobby and Eric Oakley, I had them doing Turkish get-ups while they were on a boat that was rocking back and forth, okay? And they did a great job, but that's why I said it's that most important exercise. If I could do one thing, we were out on a cruise ship, I said, hey, get a kettlebell, let's start doing some Turkish get-ups. So I'm gonna break it down a little bit for you now. If you wanna go deeper, which I hope you do, and I encourage you to do, go to my YouTube channel, the Disc Golf Strong YouTube channel, and there's 15 days of videos that are on there. And there's also in the Disc Golf Strong Fitness community group on Facebook. It's a free group, okay? Just go there and you'll see there's 15 days of Turkish Get Up Challenge, really breaking these things down. I'm gonna show you what a Turkish Get Up is first, and then I will break it down just so you see what it looks like. So I'm gonna start here on the ground. I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna come up. Come up. Slowly. Come around and stand up. And then I'm gonna come back down. I'm gonna come over, come down, 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 and down. So what did I have to do there? I had to blend mobility with stability. I had to add in strength. I had to be on just one side of my body. So I would switch myself and go and do that on the other side. I had to do a lunge pattern. So from here, okay, to here. That's lunge, that's hip strength, that's leg strength, that's putting power into the ground to force myself up. That's getting my glutes activated. When I'm down here, is getting my core engaged. And then back down, okay? That's core, and that's core from here to here. Here to here, okay? Here to here. We think most often about core exercises where it's just a sit-up or a crunch, which I don't recommend. I've got a video on my YouTube channel on why I don't recommend sit-ups or crunches or Russian twists for anybody. But it is not, we think of core as just a plank, okay? Or just as dead bug. But actually, I'm going from this side to this side, from this side to this side. Same thing the back side of me. My core is connected from here to here and here to here. When I go to throw, what am I doing? It's called cross body, okay? Cross body. When I go forehand, left hip, right shoulder. That core engagement, right? I'm going across there. I'm going here where now the back side of me. So when I'm down in the Turkish Get Up and I'm doing this level 1, phase 1 of the Turkish Get Up, I'm here. I'm getting that core engaged across my body. Then I'm coming here. My shoulder is engaged. I'm getting stability in my shoulder. I lift up, and now I've got to really get that shoulder engaged and stay engaged as I come around here. When I do it on both sides, I need good shoulder stability, okay? I need good shoulder control in that joint. I need that joint to be stable as I'm coming around here, as I'm coming around here. My shoulder is moving, right? When I throw, my shoulder is moving. When I throw, my shoulder is moving under control. When I'm here, my shoulder is moving under control. If my shoulder destabilizes and just doesn't want to work and stay nice and stabilized, now that's going to affect me. So I have to be able to learn how to do that. When I come here, I have to come here. I'm getting my glutes engaged. I'm working one side of my body. I'm working my hip stability. I'm doing this. Check this out. Hip stability. Here. Here. Okay? Here. Here. I'm on one leg and my hip has to stabilize while I'm doing that. I'm just showing you how the Turkish Get Up blends into all this stuff, this great stuff, and improves these qualities that you need as a disc golf athlete, okay? And then, like I said, here to here. So I'm on a single leg while I'm doing this. I'm on a single leg while I'm putting. I'm on a single leg, like single leg, single leg, single leg, single leg. So that's just to show you, how the Turkish Get Up affects and improves the qualities of a disc golf athlete. There's so much more that goes into it, but I'm going to show you phase 1 and get you started with phase 1. And then for those of you who've been following me for a while, you're like, hey, I've done the Turkish Get Up. I do them a lot. Okay. I've seen the benefits of it. Now, is there something else I can do to challenge up a little bit? So you can try this out at home. Okay? I'm gonna lay here, hands, legs together, or arms and legs together, and then I'm gonna go out like I'm about to start making a snowman. Okay? So I'm about 45 degrees out with my arms from my body and my legs. Now I'm gonna bend this right knee, put this right foot into the ground, put this right hand up here. I'm gonna come up, and I'm gonna think about engaging that core like I'm bracing my abs for a punch. Imagine that you're squeezing onto an imaginary fence post here. And I'm gonna come here. And then I'm gonna come here. Okay? And then I come down. And then I come down. This is a movement that pretty much anyone could be able to access right away. You should be able to access that, even if it's up to your elbow. Okay? Even if it's up to your elbow, just start there. Think about, you may notice in the beginning that you're doing this. Okay? When you do that, if my leg comes up, that means my core is not firing first, my hip flexor is. People go, man, I got tight hip flexors. My hip flexor can't disengage, it needs to be stretched. Your hip flexor is trying to do more work for your core than it should be doing as a hip flexor. So this helps your body learn how to keep your core engaged before your hip flexor. All right. Last thing here is mobility. It really helps improve your mobility as a disc golf athlete. You need to be able to be mobile. You need to be able to be mobile through your upper back here. You need to be able to be mobile through your hips. I got people, they always email me, say, I got a shoulder problem, I got a elbow problem, I got a hip problem, I got a lower back problem. What do I need to do for that? What do I do for the shoulder? And I say, first, let's start breathing. Okay, let's start breathing, and then let's work on your mobility. Because if my shoulder hurts, maybe it's that my upper back won't rotate. They'll do this. Or they'll come to here, right? They don't rotate all the way open. If I go to throw, I need to be able to rotate through my upper back. If I can't rotate through my upper back, and we all lose mobility, okay, we all stiffen up in our upper back and in our hips. If I stiffen up there, my body is now going to have to think and compensate and say, uh-oh, this ain't working. I've got to do something else. Okay, let me move through other areas. I'm going to put extra stress on my shoulder. I'm going to put extra stress on my lower back and rotate through my lower back when I shouldn't. Okay, so this is where we need to get the mobility. Now, to make it a little harder, if you've already been doing Turkish get-ups, you can add in a disc, right? And through the Turkish get-up challenge, the feedback was outstanding to see how many people from just doing Turkish get-up for 15 days, and it was like 5 to 10 minutes of Turkish get-ups, how much improvement they saw in so many different qualities. So I'm balancing a disc here on my fist, and now we call the Turkish get-up, one thing we say is it's kalos stenos, which means beautiful strength. So I have to be under control, because if I'm like, that disc is going to fall. Now, I have the disc there. I can make it a little more challenging. I got my GBO bag from a couple of years ago. Here, it's weighted down with discs. Right, now I can start adding resistance to it. And then back down. And I've got kettlebells here. If I need to make it a little harder. So there's lots of different ways you can challenge the Turkish get-up, but the big thing is start where you are and slowly progress over time. One thing I see in fitness is that a lot of people are looking for hard. They're looking for challenging. Okay, I like hard. We like to be challenged, but my programs never have a goal. When I write a training program, it's never the goal's never hard. The goal is never intense. The goal is never challenging. There may be things in there that are challenging or intense or hard at some points, or ways to make things that way. But the goal of every training program, and when you are training, should be, how is this helping me as a disc golf athlete? How is it improving my mobility? How is it improving my stability? How is it improving my body control? How is it getting me better out on the course? So I say that is because, like, say in the Turkish get up, people go, oh, well, body weight, I'm ready to move on. I want to do something more challenging. And they'll go and try to lift a really heavy weight. Okay. And that's okay, but there's more risk versus reward. When we start going heavy, when we start going hard, we have a different risk versus reward scale. Okay. And when I was working with professional athletes, we always chose reward over greater than risk. Okay. Because our goal wasn't necessarily to make them, crawl out onto the ice, because if they crawled out onto the ice and they couldn't skate properly for 2 days because they were so, sore, we would get in trouble from the coaches because that's not the goal. As an athlete, as a strength coach, my goal is to help you improve the physical qualities that you need to, so that you can maximize your athletic potential. We all want to maximize our athletic potential. Okay. And lower your injury risk, become more resilient to injury, so that we can play this sport as long as we want. We all are, just like I said in the beginning, we're all athletes, right? And if we identify as an athlete, we think of ourselves, hey, I'm an athlete, then this stuff makes sense. If we're just doing a hobby, maybe it doesn't make as much sense. I still think it does, but it really comes down to our identity, and say, hey, I need to do things that are going to help me because I want to maximize my athletic potential. What is that? That's more distance. That's more control. That's more consistency, right? That's more accuracy. That is more confidence. We say that strength breeds confidence. So you do a bunch of Turkish get-ups and you get really good and you get locked in with the Turkish get-up. Now you are more confident when you go out and you do things that require you, put you in different positions that maybe before, maybe if you even felt like you were confident, your brain in the background was going, I don't know if I can get in this position correctly. I don't want to pull a hammy. I remember I saw that one guy hurt himself doing something like this, right? But we know, hey, I've been working on my body. I've been improving my physical qualities. And now, like I said, I can maximize my potential and I can lower my injury risk. Now, the Turkish get up, okay? How you can incorporate that into what you're doing as a disc golf athlete and while you're staying at home. You can do a couple different things. First off, you can do them every day. You can do them as a warm-up. Some of my inner circle training programs, we have them as warm-ups. Some of them, they're blended into the actual training session, okay? They can be just, you wake up in the morning and you do 5 Turkish get-ups each side just to get your body flowing, okay? Your body moving. You can do 5 reps, you can do time, hey, 10 minutes, and I'm just gonna do 1 Turkish get up right, 1 Turkish get up left, and I can blend that in, okay? So I highly encourage you to go and check out the 15-day Turkish get up challenge, because in 30 minutes, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to show to you, break it all down, the entire Turkish get up. So that's why I want to give you a taste and have you at least try the phase 1 up to the hand, and then go from there. All right. So I hope that helped. Key takeaways before we get into the questions. Work on your breathing every single day. Okay. 22 to 24,000 breaths a day. Let's make sure we're breathing through our bellies when we need to breathe through our bellies, and breathing through our chest only when we need to breathe through our chest. Okay. Because right now it's flip-flop for a lot of people, and it's going to help you sleep better. It's going to lower your stress. It's going to improve your mood, all kinds of things. Breathing every single day, at least a minute. And then Turkish get-ups. Now there's other exercises I highly encourage you to do. I highly encourage you to do training programs for yourself as an athlete, but those are where you start. All right, let's get into some of these questions real quick, and then we'll see if any questions came up for Bobby. First one, are you gonna make a more strenuous workout tailored to teenagers who are coming in from playing sports that have drills and workouts that are well known? That's a great question. It kind of goes a little bit to what I was saying earlier about hard. high school athletes, it's a different experience training online, following an online training program than being in a weight room. Okay? I've been in weight rooms. We can't replicate what you get in a weight room. We do our best. We're doing it, as much as you can. But what I have in the training programs right now is works for high school athletes, especially in this time when we don't have access to training, a lot of training equipment, but that works. You can always make the exercise I have more challenging, but what I have right now will work. All right. Hi, Seth. I'm a 68-year-old male with good athletic ability, have been playing for a few years, only do a standstill drive, maxing out around 200 feet. Are there any stats or ways to find out what to expect if I keep practicing? Thanks so much. Great question. Glad it's with what you got right now. I would say the best thing to do is just keep practicing and see what happens. There's not gonna the only benefit we get from practicing is when we practice, and if we don't, then we don't know what is to come. But as long as you keep your body active, you keep moving, you will see some benefit. I can't really say exactly what the benefit is for you personally, as say more mobility or more stability or more control or more distance, but staying active, staying with your practice schedule will reap benefits, even if it's not losing benefits. Okay. So maybe it goes, maybe you're not going from 200 to 300 feet, but you're not going from 200 to 150. Right. So that's a benefit as well. All right. Let's see. Disc Golf Strong has already made a big impact on the health and performance of both pro and amateur athletes. The Disc Golf Strong app and your partnership with the DGPT. What is your vision plans for Disc Golf Strong in the next 5 years? Yeah, thanks for that. It's been great to see, over the years, started working with Bobby and DD back in like 2016, started doing stuff to where it's gone now. It's been so great to see where it's come from, where no one was warming up, no one was doing any sort of training for their body, to where it is now, where we're out on tour, we're doing these things. I was supposed to be a GBO, teaching clinics all day long and out there and helping everybody. So over the next 5 years, just continuing to grow it, having coaches in the future. There's a lot of big plans we have, but one of my biggest visions is just even starting with that, the culture changes as it is, but it continues to change in disc golf, where we are all engaging in physical activity, where the youngins coming up, they're doing stuff, they're moving their bodies, they're staying active, so that we can play this forever. Let's see. When would you expect to see results from working with one of your training programs? If I started phase 1 of a training program and stuck with it for a month, how would that help me? Great question. Doing the training programs, whether it be 2 weeks, whether it be a month, okay, you're going to see benefit. You're going to see benefit not only in mobility, in stabilization of your muscles, of your joints, but your nervous system. I was working with a pro disc golfer, and she was like, Seth, I'm throwing way farther than I was like even 2 weeks ago. And once we started doing training, how did that happen? Did I get stronger in only 2 weeks? Absolutely. Okay. Maybe you didn't grow your muscle size. Okay. But you got more connected. Okay. If I'm only lifting up this, okay, and I'm just doing that, my muscles only have to get strong to engage. My nervous system only sends out enough for me to be able to lift this up. Okay. It doesn't have to worry about me lifting up anything heavier. So if I start doing things, even before I get actually stronger, like muscle size or muscle strength, I get neurologically stronger, because now my brain is saying, I need to get that shoulder stable. I'm going to make sure that I send more nerve signals to that shoulder to make sure it's strong, because now he's doing stuff that he wasn't doing before. So you can see benefit right away. Okay. Let's see. Last question here. Let's see if we got Bobby. Hi, Seth. What can I do to improve my arm speed to throw my disc with a higher velocity? Great question. I get that question often. One thing is arm speed. I'm not a huge fan of arm speed, the term arm speed, because when we want to get stronger, we want to be able to throw farther, we got to think about hip speed, okay? Because when I'm throwing, the power comes from pushing my back foot into the ground. And when I push down, the ground pushes back. Okay, it's a Newton's law, comes up through my body, and now my arm is going along with my body, but my arm is nice and relaxed. My grip is tense, but my arm has got some tension, but my arm is relaxed. So it all comes from the ground up. So getting your body more stable is going to make a big difference. Working on your shoulders stability, working on your hip stability, working on your core stability. Because now, if I want this to go faster, I have to get this to go faster. Okay? If I want this to go faster, I've got to be able to push down harder. Okay? If I want that power to go from here to here, I need to be able to have a core stability and core stiffness where that power goes through here. Okay? So there's a lot of different variables. So that's kind of why we attack them all. And now that improves what happens up here. Great question. So I wish I could narrow it down to one exercise. I would say, I guess the one exercise would start breathing and do the Turkish get up. All right, Bobby, I know we're wrapping up here. You got any questions that come in on the board?
Oh yeah, we're good. By the way, yes, I remember doing those Turkish get-ups on the cruise, and they were a very good workout. It's still something that I incorporate into my weekly workout. So thank you for showing me all those, Seth.
Love it.
We actually have about 6 questions. So you ready?
I got it. Let's do it.
All right. Any good wrist forearm exercises with lightweight resistant bands?
Yeah. So great question. So first I would say, and you may be doing this already, is without bands. And if you're not, I'm going to show that first, and then I'll just say with a band. But here, isometrics and eccentrics have been shown to be deliver the biggest results when it comes to elbow, wrist, tendon strength, ligaments, all that. Okay. So I'll do this a lot where I will have, say, my arm flexed here. Okay. So like I'm doing the bicep curl, put my hand into my left hand into my right and press and hold. That's what and I'm resisting that. Okay. So my arm wants to straighten, but I'm resisting that. That's called an isometric hold. That is great for tendon strength, for all the tissue strength that you need. I can open my hand and I can do the same thing. And now I'm pushing my fingers like this. Okay. So that's strengthening all that. That's isometric strength. Now I can do it the other way here. Now I'm trying to hit myself in the face and I'm using this fist to resist it. Okay. Or I go here, or I do both. Okay. And now I'm trying to pull. So that is strengthening those. Isometric, hold it for 5 seconds, hold it for 10 seconds. It's also getting activation of my shoulder. Another thing would be eccentrics. So here, and I push with my hand and I'm slowly letting my arm straighten. Now I can't straighten my arms all the way. I just was never able to do that. It's a bone growth thing. Okay, I can't straighten my arms all the way, but I'll go as straight as I can and then come back and do it again. This is like me doing a pull-up and then slowly lowering my weight, myself down. Okay, that's we call the eccentric phase. Studies have shown, research has shown, tendon health, muscle strength, any of that is eccentrics, isometrics and eccentrics. When I'm throwing, if I go to throw like this, my bicep is actually engaging to be the brake. It's slowing it down, because if it didn't slow my forearm down, bam, I would just slam into my joint. So that's where people get hurt, and that's where people have issues, is when these muscles are not strong enough to tend to be slowed down. So bands are great. You can use a band, you can hold a band, you can do bands, where you're doing the wrist curls and things like that. But I would say start with your isometrics and your eccentrics first, and then you can play around with doing with the band, where you hold on to the band, you come up and down, and you go like this, and you go like that. So great question.
All right, next one is, what are your recommendations for someone new to Disc Golf Strong? How do I get started?
Yeah, so great question. We have a Disc Golf Strong app. You can download it on your phone, iOS, Android. There's a free app where you can access our video library of over 400 exercises, and there's also some jump start programs in there. Beyond that, we have the Disc Golf Strong Inner Circle, and that's actual training programs. So if you're like, hey, I want to know what I'm doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I want to know what sets and reps. That's the Inner Circle. That's discgolfstrong.com/inner circle. If you just want to start out, I would say start out with a warm up also. And that is, I'm going to send you to one more place, and that's discgolfstrong.com/discgolfathlete. That's just, you download a free warm-up video, okay, ebook, and it's got a jumpstart training program. And I say those because I could just say, do a dead bug, do a Turkish get up, do breathing. And that's true. If you just want to start with those, start with those. I got some great exercises, videos, some training videos on my YouTube channel. But you won't know the sets, you won't know the reps, but that's okay. If you just start out a minute of doing those, you're going to be doing great. Okay. But if you join and you check out those resources, those are going to kind of guide you more. And all my training programs are like from the ground up, just like the Turkish get up, you're going from the ground up. They are all accessible to as many people as possible. And they're at home training programs you can do.
All right. Next one is, what are the top 3 exercises one should do before a tournament?
Before a tournament, yeah. So Turkish get, if you got time in the morning, wake up, do a couple Turkish get-ups. That's gonna kind of get the nervous system activated, get your body moving, get the muscles engaged, get the joints moving, mobilized. Okay, Turkish get-up. Then I would say the Turkish get-up or the disc golf strong pre-round warm-up before you go throw. There's 7 movements that you do in the Turkish get-up. I mean, in the disc golf strong pre-round warm-up, and that is just things like here. You're getting your upper back mobilized. Okay. You're getting your hips moving. You're doing here. Okay. Those are all things that directly transfer over to the throw. Okay. So getting that pre-round warm-up is going to be the biggest thing that you can do. You can only, if you only have time to do 3 of them, I would say get to the course a couple minutes early and do them all because you're going to get the most benefit out of it. And it will only take you about 5 to 8 minutes to do.
Excellent. All right. This one asks, Eric Oakley always talks about how you assist with not only physical fitness, but the mental as well. Any mindset advice for getting moving during the stay-at-home orders?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, Eric and I talk a lot about this. And the mental game is so important. The mental affects the physical affects the mental. Okay. If our mental game is off, it carries over into our physical, how we manifest it physically. Okay. If we're not confident in what we're doing with our throw, now it's going to affect our body position. So the physical and the mental are so intertwined. Couple things. There's a lot to think about. There's some great books. Mind Gym. Okay, Mind Gym, An Athlete's Guide to Inner Excellence is one of my favorite books. I gave a copy of that to Eric and a couple other players like 2 years ago. But a couple quick things is, first off, is that a lot of people want to improve they want a better mental game when they just like went double bogey, bogey in the middle of a tournament, okay, or in the middle of a round, and then they're like, oh man, I need a better mental game. Just like we have to practice putting, just like we have to practice driving, we have to practice our mental game. We have to become mentally stronger and actually visualize ourselves getting better. Think about the breath work, think about all that before you get out there. Another thing is, in disc golf, we have something that you don't get in a lot of other sports, where our practice rounds are completely different than our actual tournament rounds. Okay. When it comes to adversity, right? We go out and we practice a course, having fun, relaxed, thinking about what we're doing that night, things like that. And then the next day we go and we try to do the exact same course when it all counts. Now it's under adversity. Now it's like a totally different ball game, right? Where, like, say in baseball, if you're out there and you're with the team and you're practicing and it's just a normal Tuesday morning and you're slouching off, you're going to get benched. So there's adversity, and there's adversity from when you're a kid. Okay, for you to keep making the next team in football, all those different sports, you're practicing under adversity, and so then you're playing under adversity. Okay, different from in disc golf. So there's got to find different ways to add in adversity. Even if it's visualization things, even if it's posting your score, your practice round score to somebody so they can hold you accountable. So there's that stress involved. But last thing. get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think Bobby would even agree with this, right? From being in the military. Hey, you know what? Like when you're out there and you're in the military, I was in the military. I spent time on an ambulance as well. Okay, doing 911. I had to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay, if I'm out there and there's a car crash and it's raining and I got rain in my eyes and I hate rain getting in my eyes, I couldn't even think about that. I had to just get comfortable and focus on what I needed to do. Okay. If you're out there on the course, put all that other stuff away and just focus on what you need to do. Don't think about how uncomfortable it is, because that's all it's going to affect you. You got to just go, hey, I'm here. I'm focused. I can't let anything else distract me while I'm doing this. Just think about one thing, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Those drill instructors didn't yell and scream just because they wanted to. They wanted to create that chaos so you knew how to think through all the chaos.
Right. Hey, the first couple of weeks, you're trying not to make a face because you're so scared. And then the last couple of weeks, you're trying to make a face because you're trying not to laugh, because they become so hilarious that you're trying to, like, the uncomfortable part is not laughing, because then you're going to get even more.
I know. Exactly. All right. Someone wants to know, do you plant on the Turkish get up with your throwing arm?
Do I plant with the Turkish get up on my throwing arm? I plant with both sides. So I would switch. I would do on the right. I would do on the left. Okay. So it's a unilateral exercise. So it's just one side. So I'm coming up and I'm on my left hand, and I come up and I do the full Turkish get up. I come down, maybe next rep, I switch sides. Now I'm driving that right hand into the ground and I'm getting it. So the great thing about the Turkish get up is you get both sides equally.
All right. Next up, we have, what's the best stretch for a pulled hamstring?
Yeah, great question. So I would say, first off, rest it, mobilize it. So rest it. Don't do anything that's going to make it worse. Okay, that's painful. Mobilize it. So do things like hip circles, standing hip circles here. Okay, here. Doing some light dynamic movements here. Foam rolling, but only up to a certain point. You don't want it to kill you, feel like it's killing you. One thing I would say is don't stretch. Don't stretch. Okay. Back in the day, we would stretch. Our coaches, they would all say, "Oh, stretch that out." If we have a pulled muscle, okay, if I have a muscle and it's pulled and it's frayed a little bit, and now when I go to stretch it, what am I doing? I'm potentially fraying it even more. Now, when we stretch, we feel good because there's actual receptors in our body and our brain that respond to stretching movements. So it feels good, but in the moment, but it actually could be doing more harm. So we don't want to stretch a hamstring muscle. Okay. We do nice like dynamic movements, like say leg swings, hip circles, things like that, but don't stretch a muscle that's been strained. Right. Recovery of it, breath work. And then we find out, why did that muscle pull? Because that muscle pulled, maybe because it wasn't strong enough. Maybe there was some stability going on at the hip, some instability. So your hip wasn't stable enough. That affected it. There's a reason why that muscle went, tighten up. And the brain said to that muscle, tighten up. We need you to tighten right now. And you tighten more than you've ever tightened. And now you strain. So that's where we come out of it. When you start feeling better, is getting your hip more stable, focus on your breathing, get your core stronger. That usually helps hamstring pulls more than stretching.
Excellent. All right. Last question we have: tips to develop and improve a terrible forehand. My backhand is all right. My forehand needs a ventilator. They turn into rollers right out of the gate or go flat, but way offline, and I miss my gap awfully.
Yeah, great question. So a couple of things here. So with the actual coaching of your technique, I would say reach out to someone like Oakley. You can send him a video and he can break down your technique and give you some pointers on what to actually do with the technique side. The technique is super important, okay? Very important for the skill of the movement. But what I'm going to say as a strength and conditioning coach is, the first thing is you need to be able to make sure that your body can even get in that position and handle that position. right? So if you go, I remember years and years ago, I was like 2006 or 7, I went and I got certified with the Titleist Performance Institute as a golf fitness instructor, certified golf fitness instructor. It was like the first beginning waves of golf fitness, okay? And there's only 2 of us that were strength coaches. Everyone else was a swing coach. And the instructor on the stage, he said, listen, swing coaches, this goes out to the swing coaches. You have to make sure that the person you're working with can even move their body into the position you want them to do before you give them the skill work. Because you could be, if you're having them do this, and you could give them all kinds of lessons on get your arms here, get here, move this. But if you check their upper back mobility and they can only go to here, that's all they got because their upper back is so stiff, then they're going to have to do this. You can try to give them a million different things to do, but if they can't even rotate through their upper back properly, none of this matters, okay? Same thing with the forehand. If my ribs flare up, okay? So if my ribs flare up, check this out. This is how much I can drop my arm. If my ribs come down, I get core engagement, okay? This is how much I can drop my arm. See that big difference there? That's a lot. That's from here to here, just by rib position. If I'm going here and my ribs flare up, that's putting my shoulder in a different position than I want it to be. If I can't rotate properly because my upper back is so stiff and tight that it's not rotating properly, I'm going to now have to compensate and do other things, okay, that are going to affect my disc golf throw. So I would say work on your mobility, work on your stability of your shoulder. If my shoulder is not stable and I'm going here and it's moving around, okay, or my shoulder blade is moving around, it's not stable, that's going to affect the flight pattern. That's going to affect where my elbow is. It's going to affect where my wrist is. It's going to affect how it comes out of my hand. So get the skill coach and get the skill coaches from great instructors, great athletes like like Eric Oakley, like AJ Risley, like a lot of the other pros. Okay. But work on building that mobility, work on building that stability, work on your breathing. All that matters because you can apply. A saying I spout all the time is that we can't apply a technique solution to a movement problem, right? So that's what we try to do a lot. We try to apply a technique solution to a movement problem. So let's clear up the movement first, and then at the top of that pyramid, top of the pyramid is skill. Bottom of the pyramid is mobility, stability, strength. Okay, you got to be able to do this so that you can work on the skill up here. People go right into up here. People go into the skill before they work down here in the mobility, the stability, the strength, the body control, the nervous system control, things like that.
Good stuff. Thank you so much, Seth. Yeah. I know some people have been playing already, but I know a lot of people are excited when things start opening up, and I'm thankful that we have some good information from you to get us back out on the disc golf course in a healthy way. Yeah. We have one if you have 1 minute, we have one that just snuck in. If you had a minute.
I got it, man. I'm here.
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to say this right. How long do you rest a supraspinatus muscle before you throw again?
Yeah, great question. So supraspinatus, it's up here in your shoulder. It's one of our rotator cuff muscles. Okay. The thing is, rest it. Each person has a different recovery period, and really it depends on how much recovery you're doing right now for it. Okay. How much you're resting it right now. So it's all going to be relative to you. Now you can do things that you should do things to strengthen your shoulder stability, to strengthen all those muscles. But when you come back to throw, when you're coming back into it, a big mistake people do is they go from 0 to 100. Okay. They go from 0 to 100. They go from no throwing to throw. Okay. Or they'll say, oh man, I'm only going to throw 30 times a day. I normally throw 100 times. Okay. I'm going to take it easy. No, 30 times is too much. And 100% is too much. So what I would say is, I don't have it with me right now, but I have in the garage, a badminton racket. right? I love the badminton racket. If you ever watch any of the DGPT stuff, you'll see I have the badminton racket, or I had it out at GBO last year. I would have it this year. I've had players that have had shoulder injuries, or they got something going on and they're not confident, they're not comfortable with where they should be able to throw at. So here I have them come in and they would just swing the badminton racket. It's a light implement. Okay, come through, back, come through. Just test that shoulder. Now you don't have a disc in your hand. You put a disc in your hand, you're gonna want to try. You're gonna be disappointed if it doesn't go, as far as it can. So take it out of the hand, put a badminton racket, and you can hear the whoosh, the swoosh, and you just test it slowly. Test it slowly, okay? And then a couple times, 10 times, 15 times, done. Don't do it anymore. Next day, do it again. If there's no pain, next day, do it again. Maybe add just a small percentage, okay? Add a small percentage, okay? 5 more throws, 10 more throws at the max. Slowly working your way up. When a professional baseball pitcher is injured, they're coming back, they have a pitch count. They have to slowly work back up in that pitch count. They throw short toss, then they start going long toss. They start going, where in disc golf, we kind of just go, we want to go right into it. And I get it. I'm a disc golfer. I want to go out there. I want to throw. I want to see the disc fly far, right? But we got to slowly work our way up into it and rebuild that strength, rebuild that stability in the shoulder, doing things like shoulder taps, doing things like X-lifts, all things you can see on my YouTube page and stuff and my programs. I actually, in my Disc Golf Strong Inner Circle, I have a resilient disc golf shoulder program that's all designed around shoulders, because we use our shoulders so much, right? We're throwing athletes, overhead athletes, right? But that's the thing. You got to slowly build it up and test it, and don't go to that threshold where you start to feel pain. Go under that. You're going to feel underwhelmed, but that's okay. Okay? You're going to feel underwhelmed. We wouldn't do that in a lot of other things. If I hurt myself deadlifting, or I was just new to deadlifting, if I had Bobby deadlift and I said, Bobby, hey, deadlift this 50 pounds, and Bobby deadlifts 50 pounds, I'm like, perfect, let's throw 600 on the bar. Be like, whoa, that's a big jump, man, right? We wouldn't do, but we'll go where we throw just a little bit. Hey, that feels good. Throw as fast and hard as I can, right? So we will go from 0 to 100 real quick, where we wouldn't think about doing that any way else, right? Hey, you just started driving, go 200 miles an hour on a racetrack. You're like, whoa, I got to slowly build up to that. Same thing with this. I wish I could tell you, just go out there and start throwing. It's going to be great. Hey, a week, 2 weeks. It's all going to be depending on how much you rest and rehab it. Something I tell my athletes when I was working with, in hockey, in professional hockey, the athletes, they competed like it was their job, because it was. When they were injured, they rehabbed like it was their job, because it was, right? So it all depends on how much rehab, how much recovery, and not how much you do, but actually how much you don't do. Okay? Because if all of us, we want to do it, we want to go fast, we want to push hard, but we actually got to pull back a little bit. So all that matters.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, I remember when we first started talking, Seth, the biggest aha moment I had from you was you talked about how disc golfers always say by the 5th or 6th hole, they're like, man, now I'm feeling warmed up. I feel good. And it's like, well, no kidding. That's because your body's been warmed up. And imagine what you can do in those first few holes if you warmed up before you actually started playing. And that was kind of a big aha moment for me.
You're so right, Bobby. It's so true. The more we warm up, the more we treat our bodies like athletes, the more they're going to want to perform like athletes. The warming up, I've heard from so many people say, hey, just adding in a warm up made me feel like from hole 1, I was like ready to go. I didn't have to feel like I was waiting a hole 4, hole 5, right? And once we change the culture in the sport, as it continues to change, where warming up is something that it's not one person's doing and everyone's looking going, what the heck is that person doing? We start getting in, we start warming up, we're going to see a big difference in how we can maximize our potential and lower our injury risk. It matters. If we were all in professional baseball and everyone's warming up and one guy's sitting on the bench, everyone look at him like, what are you doing? we're about to play a baseball game. Get out here and warm up, right? Where it's right now in disc golf, it's flip-flopped. It's
right.
One person's warming up, 5 people are warming up, and everyone else is going, what are you doing? We're about to play disc golf, right? And that's okay. We didn't do it. We didn't do it until we do it, right? It's not shaming anyone, but the more we change the culture. So I appreciate you, Bobby, having me on and giving me an opportunity to do this virtual GBO because we couldn't be there and we wish we could. I miss you a ton, my friend, and everyone out there in Emporia. And I look forward to coming back out there. And so thanks again for giving this opportunity. I know we went way longer than 30 minutes.
Oh, you're fine.
I talk a lot.
I know, that's fine. No, it's good times. Yeah, I was glad you're able to be part of this virtual GBO. Like you said, miss having everybody out there, miss having you out there. When I saw your name on the roster early on, I was like, yes, he's going to be out here, be able to do his disc golf strong stuff. I've seen you at other tournaments, just preaching the news of being an athlete and treating your body as an athlete when you're out there performing. So real quick, before we go, remind everybody where they can go to get even more information from you and learn more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got my social media channels. You got the YouTube channel, Disc Golf Strong. You got the Facebook and the Instagram. Go follow me there. We got our Disc Golf Strong Fitness community, which is it's our Facebook group. Okay. It's a free Facebook group. We got like around 5,000 members in there. I post stuff in there. If you want a little more in depth, just go to the app. Okay. The Disc Golf Strong app, you can download it for free. Beyond that, if you want actual training programs, that's discgolfstrong.com/inner circle. It's $1 for the first month, cancel anytime. That's full on training programs. That's the stuff Eric Oakley is doing. That's the stuff that AJ Risley is doing. That's the stuff that, a lot of the players are doing, is stuff that you're going to see in the inner circle. I would say last thing is, if you just want the warm up, go to discgolfstrong.com/discgolfathlete. And that's going to get you the free warm up ebook and a couple of jumpstart programs just to get you started.
Excellent. All right. Good stuff, Seth. Have a wonderful evening out there. And again, thanks for being a part of the virtual GBO, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, Bobby. Thanks again. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay home, and stay disc golf strong.